Hi, I'm Bob Taylor, and I want to talk to you a little bit about wood today. You know, it's kind of hard to believe, but the truth of the matter is that we're living in the generation when almost all of the wood species that we would use in a guitar are stressed beyond belief. And so it's going to take a lot of intervention from us as people around the world to make sure that we continue to have these woods and that for generations they continue to be there. I can look at this spruce top on this guitar. It's a beautiful top, but you can almost count the number of spruce trees that are left, and you can almost count when there might not be any left that are large. I want to talk to you a little bit about ebony today. Ebony has been used on musical instruments since the Egyptians made musical instruments. It's grown in Africa, Madagascar, places in India, tropical countries. And it grows naturally in rainforests. But we know, and you've heard, that rainforests have been displaced by farming, palm oil, civilization. And living in our first world modern life, we live in our house, we get in our car, we go to work, we hear these stories. They don't become real to us unless you can see it for yourself. But I guarantee you that if I took you to some of the places in the world and you fly over them, and as far as the eye can see, the places that used to be tropical forests are now palm trees for oil, or cities. It would really blow your mind. If you were able to get down into the forest and look at the economies and the people's life and the things that are happening in these forests, pulling out record numbers, massive numbers of high value species, and almost the level of poaching, I would say, that goes on to do that and destroying habitat, you'd probably think differently about the guitar that you own. Well, it's my job to try and balance both of those things for you. You want to play guitar, you want me to handle it for you, and I'm willing to do that job. I really am. To that end, we've gotten more and more and more involved in sourcing our wood, to the point to where we've taken over ownership of some of the more important species. Ebony has been a wood that for 2 or 3 or 400 years we've gone into countries and we've used the ebony until it's all gone, literally. Then we move into another country and we take their ebony till it's all gone. Why do I say we? Because ebony isn't cut in Africa for use by Africans. Ebony's cut in Africa to be sold to people like us to make things like guitars out of. That's the simple truth of the matter. The last great place to get ebony was Madagascar. It's where probably the ebony that people think is the true species of ebony is grown. Jet black, perfectly hard. But you know what? It's illegal to cut it there now. The only place that the ebony exists is in national parks. And there was some tremendous amount of poaching, to the tune of 200 logs a day being literally stolen out of national parks, destroying habitat. All illegal, all clandestine, and right under the eyes of everybody. But there are a lot of governments and environmental groups that put a stop to that, and Madagascar it's out of the question. We don't buy it. It can't be sold, it can't be exported. There's one place in the world left where good ebony comes from, and that's the country of Cameroon in Western Africa. Cameroon has a lot of ebony left. Now, do we want to do to Cameroon what we did to Gabon, or to Congo, or to Madagascar, or to Sri Lanka, or all the other places where ebony grew and now it's illegal to take? In reality, it's the last frontier. There's no other place to go. Cameroon is it. Now at Taylor Guitars, we've been using Cameroonian ebony for 25 years. We never did use Madagascar ebony. We were very happy with Cameroonian ebony. It was black, it was beautiful, it was hard. It came to pass that recently I partnered with a company in Spain who's a good supplier to Taylor Guitars in the areas of wood. This company is called Medinter. We formed a company called Taylor Listug Medinter. We went into Africa because there was a company for sale that cut ebony and supplied most of our musical instrument trade when it comes to guitars and when it comes to violins. We purchased this company at a considerable expense And during the process of that year of what started out being a good investment turned into really more of a social forestry, ecological, save the world type of operation. It would be hard for me to explain to you on tape the cognitions I had by spending a year there and seeing what was going on. Boy, my eyes were opened. Only now, I own the company, and I have to ask myself what I'm going to do about it. Let me tell you just a couple little metrics. Cameroon is the last place to buy ebony legally in the world that has any commercial quantity going on. We own a company now that cuts Cameroonian ebony. We have legal permits done above board without a penny of bribery or all the other shenanigans that tend to go on around there to cut, get this, 75% of the ebony that's cut legally in the country of Cameroon. That's how much we're entrusted by their government. We supply not only Taylor guitars, but the vast majority of guitar builders of high quality guitars and a huge violin business. It really is a lot of wood. I have a story that I'd like to share with you that took place in September of 2011. What happened on that day changed my life, and it's going to affect your life as well. I was in Cameroon, and I sat down with the subcontractors in Cameroon that cut the ebony for us. Their job is to go out into the forest and bring in the ebony into our factory. They cut under our license and are inspected and stamped all the way from the forest back to our factory. I wanted to ask them how it was going because we were going to become the new owners within a few short weeks. Well, they said it's going poorly because they feel they have to work too hard for the money that they make. I inquired a little bit more. Tell me more about that. Well, it used to be that the ebony was by the roads, but all these years later, the ebony is 5 kilometers or 8 kilometers away from the roads, meaning we've got to walk back into a jungle forest 8 kilometers, cut down a tree, chop it up into little blocks, carry it out on our backs to the road where we can truck it away. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work, I thought. And what about the price of the ebony? Well, we barely make enough money to cover all of our costs, and we can't use any of the B-grade wood. What's wrong with the B-grade wood? Well, you don't pay enough money for it. The value is 1/5 of what the A-grade wood is. And the difference between the B-grade and the A-grade? Well, the B-grade has color in it. It's got gray and vanilla streaking through it, and what everybody wants is the black wood. Yes, I know people love black wood, but tell me more about this other wood. Well, it's of so much lower value that we don't really bring it into the factory because we would lose money if we did the work and brought that wood in. It's the same amount of work for us to bring in either type. I understand. How do you tell if the wood is good or not? Well, we have to cut down the tree. We cut it down with our chainsaw and we look at the stump, and if we see the streaks in it, we don't take it. That's right. You leave it there? Yeah, we just leave it there. How about you? Is that what you do? Yes, that's what we do. And you over here? Is that what you do? Yes, that's what we do. So you cut down trees until you find the black one that our customers want. Yes, that's the only tree that can be used. Okay. How much wood do you need to bring in? Well, it's a lot of work, but we have to bring in 6 tons a load. How many trees does it take for that? It takes 2 trees. Can you tell me, how many trees do you need to cut down to get 2 black trees? Well, we cut down 20 trees. Is that right? Do you cut down 20 trees? Yes, we cut down 20 trees. And you? That's about right. We cut down 20 trees. I said, what if the price for the 2 were the same? What if we paid you the same amount of money for the trees with color as the trees that are black? Well, that would be great. We would have to cut down a lot less trees. We could earn a living. We could bring it in. But you can't use that, can you? You can't. What we've heard is that you can't use the trees with color. Well, starting today, we can use the trees with color. Who says you can? I said we can. That's the story I wanted to tell you. On that day, I made a decision that affects the whole entire guitar world because I'm in a position to make that decision. I can't, in all good conscience, know that we cut down 10 trees to get one black one, and let that happen over and over every day, every month, every year, so that we as guitar players can have ebony that's pure black. It's just wrong. So the good news is we found out that there's 10 times as much ebony as we thought was available. The other news is, and I'm not calling it bad, is that we're going to start seeing guitars in the guitar market, not only from Taylor, but from all the other brands as well that have color in the ebony. We can fight it, but we're fighting the forest. The truth of the forest in Cameroon is that it supplies us with ebony of color. If you get a look at this guitar, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's brown and blonde spots and streaks in here. Some people will say that's beautiful, and maybe we'll try and promote its beauty. And some people will say it's ugly, and maybe we'll try and argue that. But neither one of those are the argument that's any good. It doesn't really matter. What matters is this is the ebony that the last place on Earth's forests produce. And that's just simply the truth of the forest. We plan to live within the truth of the forest because that's the day and age that we live in. We no longer live in a world of new frontiers and of wasteful use of our natural resources. The people of Cameroon can't afford the luxury for us to be this picky, and so things are going to change. We'll do everything we can as a guitar factory to make every guitar beautiful, but the nature of what we thought was beautiful for 100 years is simply going to change. Let's just say, theoretically, that ebony disappeared off the face of the planet because the last place in the world to get it, Cameroon, decided not to sell it because they don't like the way we're harvesting it from their country. And they don't like the money that we're leaving behind in their country. And so we didn't have ebony at all. And a year passed, and 5 years passed, and 10 years passed. Imagine, if you will, if I walked into the factory, a guitar store, or your living room and said, I've got great news. We have ebony again. We have legal ebony again. You would say, we do? I would say, yes, we do. The only thing is, it's not all black. The immediate answer that would come back to me under that scenario would be, we don't care. Ebony is so valuable that in the way that it works, the way it functions, the way it holds frets, the way it sounds, that we don't care if it's all black. After being without it, we don't care anymore. So my suggestion is, let's skip the 5 years. Let's skip the 10 years, and let's embrace what the forest can offer us right now. Let's be good stewards. Let's practice good forest husbandry. Let's help benefit the people of Cameroon, and let's live within the confines of Mother Nature. And so it's a change in the way guitars are, and as dealers and as customers, I'm going to ask you to go along with me to save this last opportunity for us to do a good job, and let's embrace the way ebony actually really is today.